At Auto Workforce, your wage is paid each week on Tuesday. You receive then a payslip in My Auto. In this animation, we are going to explain the payslip of Auto Workforce. The top right-hand section shows the wage period and which working week is paid. On the left, you can see our company details, your personal address data, and your Auto ID and SAP ID. These are unique numbers linked only to you. The wage calculation is divided into 3 steps: the gross wage, the wage tax, and the net wage. The wage calculation depends on the collective labor agreement, or CAO, and employment conditions at the company you work for. The most important here are the number of worked hours, the hourly wage, and the agreements concerning allowances, refunds, and travel expenses. Additionally, legal regulations and the conditions of the ABU Collective Labor Agreement, or ABU CAO, must be applied, such as the ET regulation, pension, sickness benefit, leave, and holiday allowance. Finally, possible net deductions, such as, for example, health insurance and housing. Let's begin with the gross wage. The gross wage is what you earn before the wage tax is deducted. At the top is the company name you work for. In the left-hand column, you can see the description of various wage components along with the total amount. Each wage component is calculated separately. The data for the calculation is listed on the right. For example, the number of hours, the hourly wage, and use percentage. This way, you can check whether the calculation is correct. The contribution for STIP pension and the participation in the ET regulation can be deducted from the gross wage. The participation in the STIP pension starts as soon as you begin employment and are 21 or older. At Otto, each employee participates directly in the STIP Plus program. Otto pays 2/3 and the employee 1/3 of the pension premium. You can find a detailed explanation of the STIP pension in the Otto Personnel Handbook. The ET regulation is a fiscal arrangement of the Dutch government for migrant workers who work in the Netherlands temporarily. Thanks to this regulation, you pay less tax and so you receive a higher net wage. It is a compensation for extra costs of housing and living expenses. The Personnel Handbook contains more information also on the ET regulation. After all gross amounts have been calculated, you will see the total result here in the highlighted column, Payment/Deduction. This amount is used to determine the wage tax and social insurance premiums which Otto pays to the Dutch tax authority. The wage tax is calculated at a normal rate, or, in case of occasional additional payments, at a special rate. The amount of the wage tax depends on your total gross wage and your potential participation in the ET regulation. Because of this, the wage tax can be different every week. The Dutch government uses this wage tax to pay, among others, various benefits, such as the General Old Age Pension, or AOW, maternity and parental leave, or unemployment benefit. This was the part concerning the gross wage and wage tax. In the bottom section, you will find the calculation of the net wage. If you benefit from the before-mentioned ET regulation, due to this regulation, you will be first paid the net amounts. In addition to possible refund of declared costs and travel expenses, deductions for example, housing and health insurance are also made here. Each deduction is clearly indicated with a description. The column base shows the total amount. These amounts are then deducted from your wage via the column Payment/Deduct, taking into account the statutory minimum wage and the statutory maximum deductions. If this causes that a deduction cannot be made, the deduction or part of it will be recorded as a claim. This amount is then listed in the column PD claim, and the total result is shown below. At the very bottom of your payslip, there are the annual totals. Here, you can see all the summed amounts for the given year, which you will need to be able to fill in the income tax form correctly. These amounts match the amounts on the annual statement, which is issued every year in February. On the far right, in the section Overview, there is additional information. This overview shows the start and end date of your contract. You can also see the contract type, your ABU phase, your contract hours, as well as hours worked and other hours for the given week. They determine the potential payment of your guaranteed hours. The bottom row shows the characteristics of the normal rate and your percentage of special rate for one-off payments. The last field specifies the current Dutch statutory minimum hourly wage. This table shows whether you have applied for a tax discount. If yes, you will pay less wage tax. This wage tax discount may be applied in the Netherlands only to one employer at a time. The annual earning shows your income for the entire year. The special rate percentage is determined based on this amount. In ET, you can see whether you participate in the previously mentioned ET regulation. The fiscal address specifies your tax residence. This can be the Netherlands, the EU, or other countries. This partly determines how much wage tax must be deducted. This table shows the contribution set aside per year for your STIP pension. This is broken down into your own contribution and OTTO's contribution. You can also see here whether you participate in the social fund of the ABU CAO, applicable to Phase A only. The following table shows which general Dutch employee insurance schemes you are registered. As standard, these are all 4 insurances. OTTO pays the premium for these insurances. They're used to finance unemployment and long-term sickness benefits, among other things. Next comes the table showing how many days you have worked in the given period and altogether in the given year. You can also see how many sick and wait days you have had. The tables leave hours statutory and leave hours additional show the hours that you have accumulated and/or taken in the given week, as well as your total leave hours that you can still take as paid leave. If you have any leave hours left at the end of your contract, they will be listed on the last payslip in the rightmost column and balance. 4 weeks later, you'll receive the final settlement of these hours, together with any final additional payments and deductions. The last overview, Employee Debt, gives you information on the status of any potential claim that you still must pay to OTTO, the start balance, whether it has decreased or increased, and the end balance. If there is an end balance, you will receive an email with a request to pay all or part of it directly.